have here on Country 107.1. It's the Cummins Real Estate Group show with Michelle Cummins. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Curtis?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you aboard. This is an exciting new show where we're going to teach people about real estate.
I love real estate, and I think everyone else should too.
I imagine you would love real estate because you've been doing this for a while now. I guess we should probably introduce people a little bit to you. So, Michelle Cummins, of course, you have your own real estate group. Obviously, it's named after you.
That's right, Michelle with one L because I don't go with the flow, and Cummins, no G, like the diesel engine, nice and strong.
Oh, I like that. So you've done this before.
Oh, yes.
So let's tell people a little bit about you. Now, you've been doing real estate, I think, since you were 10.
No, not quite. Only 15 years.
That's why I said since you were 10. Yeah. But you've been doing it for a while, so you got a lot of experience in real estate. So what type of real estate have you predominantly done?
You know what? I am a somewhere girl because I love so much. I love everything. Life is our oyster. And so I love residential. I love working with first-time home buyers. I have good relationships with builders and new home construction and help people buying and getting custom homes. Seniors, there's so many different opportunities for different age groups and for where and what you need at the time you're looking at purchasing real estate. Because all of our lives, timing is everything and quality of life. And it changes because life changes. So I love working with people of all sorts, investors. I'm an investor myself. It's important for all of us to invest in real estate because God isn't making any more of it that I know of. So.
No, we got the land we have, and that's about it.
That's right.
So now when it comes to buying real estate, now some people I know it's like they stress about it. It's something it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, and it can be a very stressful situation. So now what do you do to help alleviate a bit of that stress for folks?
Well, first, I remind everyone this is the largest transaction you most likely will ever make in your life. No, not really, but it is. So I understand that. So you have to make the decision because it's important. And the most important decisions in life, you find, are the hardest ones to make. And you do need somebody to hold your hand, to be, hold you up and to be there for you and give you the confidence and the advice. A professional advice is so important in real estate. So...
Well, the Lower Mainland and Vancouver, Vancouver's another story altogether, but the Lower Mainland especially, in the Fraser Valley, real estate has become so challenging in the last few years with prices continually on the climb. How do people get into this market when it's so difficult to get that down payment?
I know. Well, you know what? The rules are always changing, and we know January of this year they changed again with the stress tests. So you just have to plan, and if you have somebody to help you be there, whether you can afford it today or maybe it's next year, maybe it's 2 years later, but you do need that guidance and it does help and you can get into it no matter what's happened in your life, no matter what you've done. I realized when I got into real estate 15 years ago, I really studied it, and I'm a big studier of stats and history because we tend to get closed-minded and we only think of the here and now, and we get worried because just this last few years, it's like prices higher and higher and higher, and everyone's worried, are our kids going to be able to afford real estate? Well, history shows, and I have studied it, that we've always had an incline in the real estate market of about 2 to 3 years. When it goes up for about 2 to 3 years, and then there's always been a correction of about 10 or 12%. And so in 2015, when we started getting that incline, and it was actually a faster, higher rise than usual, but it was time for that to happen. And so I knew it was coming, and then I knew it would probably last about 3 years. So I told everyone, watch out, we're on for a 3-year hike and a great market, and then most likely we're going to see a correction spring of 2018. And sure enough, April this year, we all felt it.
Yeah, it does seem like it's kind of leveled out a little bit. I'm not going to say it's dropping yet because I don't think it will drop, but we seem to have hit a plateau at least right now.
Well, we are in a very special market here in the greater Vancouver and Fraser Valley areas. This Lower Mainland, it's really the best place on earth to own and live. I have clients all over the world who own properties all over the world, and they call Vancouver, this area, they call it their home because it is one of the best areas. So it will always be a good market, I feel, but we always still have that shift that we have a hike for a few years and then it corrects, like I said, 10 to 12%. And then it lasts. It kind of stays steady for about 5 to 10 years, on average 7 years. And sure enough, the economists last year were really worried it was going to have a drop of about 22% or so. And then they changed their tune. And actually earlier this year, they said, no, it's only going to be about 10 or 12%. So perfect, right on the nose. So if you can ride out the kind of lull times, it's going to go up again, and then it'll have, it's like climbing a mountain with the little peaks and valleys, but it's always climbing. So that's real estate. So the timing of selling and buying and what you're selling and buying will all be dependent on your quality of life and what you're able to do at that time. But nothing to worry about. It's just preparing. It's knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Well, we're talking to Michelle Cummins. This is the Cummins Real Estate Show. Now, Michelle, when it comes to time to buy, is there a better time of year to be looking or selling?
Very good question, Curtis. Yes, there is. So in the spring and in the fall are the highest markets. So for sellers, they're great because it's really active. In the fall, people are back from their summer vacations, and the kids are back in school. They really want to make buying, purchasing decisions. Same with investors. They've been on their yacht. They're out having a good time during the summer. They get back, and they're just ready to invest. They're ready to go. So fall is a very good market. However, for buyers, the best time to buy, if you're able to, and if what you want hits the market, you will get the best deals in the winter and the summer, because most people selling in the summer and winter are because they have to sell. So usually that lends to a buyer's negotiating power more than seller's negotiating power. Having said that, right now this summer we went from a seller's market in the spring to a balanced market. So it is much better right now for buyers. Well,
real estate's a fascinating thing to me, and obviously for you as well, because real estate is something that everybody has an interest in. Even if they don't think they do, because you go to a party and people start talking about housing prices, or, hey, I was looking at this house, or we're thinking of moving, and everybody has opinions, or they have things they like, and it's amazing how it's such a great conversation starter to talk about real estate. So now if you go to a party, does everybody have a million questions for you about where they should buy or how do they get a great deal or things like that?
Oh, yes, and I love it. The same question everyone asks, and it's what I asked before I was in real estate, is how's the market doing? It's because everybody's interested in real estate. So, yeah.
And it's like you said, it's the biggest investment you're going to make. Mm-hmm. So because of that, people have a vested interest going, all right, what am I going to do? But you also have people like, I have a friend, and he's actually considering moving to like New Brunswick because he just doesn't see himself being able to afford a house here ever. And I can understand his frustration, but how do you deal with people when they come to you going, I just can't afford a house here. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Some people don't think they can afford it when they actually can if they just had guidance. Mm-hmm. So I always match them up with a mortgage broker. I love Jamie Moy. She is an amazing and highest certified mortgage broker there is, and there's many good ones out there. But I say get somebody like a mortgage broker, a financial advisor who will advise on what you should do in order to be able to afford, because there's no better time than starting it now.
And a mortgage broker is something a lot of people might not think about. But obviously, it is a very important piece of the pie. I know we used a mortgage broker when we moved back here, and it did make things so much easier.
Oh my gosh, the stress level, and that's the professional's job, is to make sure they're making and advising you the best way. And when I bought an investment property in the States, I don't know the States. I'm lost. My mortgage broker that my realtor referred me to, amazing. He made it so smooth, and Jamie's helped me purchase properties, and she has made it so smooth. It's just wonderful, and just so relieve that stress. We don't need more stress in our lives. So always hire that professional. That's what they're there for.
Well, and as you mentioned earlier, a lot of times when people are coming to a real estate agent, they are going through a lot in their life. Either they're moving to a different place from a different town or a different city, or they're going through changes in their life. So if you can relieve a little of that stress by getting a mortgage broker, that could probably really help in the whole procedure, I guess.
100%. I have buyers all the time say, oh, I want to buy a property. And first question I ask is always, do you have a realtor? If they don't. But then it's, are you pre-approved for a mortgage? Have you spoken with your bank or a mortgage broker, financial advisor? And a lot of times, most of the time, they say no. And I say, that's the first step. You've got to do that, because then that stress is relieved. If you're looking at properties that you can't even afford and you don't know that, look at all that time you've wasted. So there's no time like the present to get pre-approved. And really, it helps you as a buyer in the negotiating room for your realtor to negotiate for you best price. And that's the whole idea for a buyer, is to be confident. And that way you know what you have, you know what it looks like.
And how much do people really need these days for a down payment? What are they looking at?
The stress test has raised what you need to get approved for. So if the, let's say the rates are about the 5-year, that is 5.4% or so, whatever you're currently approved for, they want to add 2 percentage points to it. So you do have to be able to afford more. Now, for down payment, that will be dependent on each buyer, but usually 5-10%. It's really good to have, obviously, put down more, as much as you can, but minimum 5%.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know it's a big question on a lot of people's minds. That's probably the second one they come up with. How's the market? How much do I need?
Yes. And then I always say, speak with the mortgage broker, and here's a mortgage broker you can speak with, because they will be able to tell you what you have to put down.
Perfect. Well, we're going to take a little break here, Michelle, and we'll have more with the Cummins Real Estate Group show. But if people want more information, let's give your website a plug so they can find out more about you.
Happy to do so. It's michellecummins.ca. And of course, that's Michelle with 1 L and Cummins, no G.
Excellent. We'll have more with Michelle in just a couple moments. All right, we are back. This is the first edition of the Cummins Real Estate Group show with Michelle Cummins. It's great to have you here. It's fun to learn about real estate, because it's something that's such a big part of people's lives. But we were just talking off air here, and I got to ask you about this. Your dad, now this has nothing to do with real estate, but it's so cool. Your dad worked with Elvis Presley.
Yes, at MGM Studios when he was doing his movies for 7 years.
That is amazing.
Yeah, he tells stories like throwing the football with him and just chatting, and he actually got asked to be in one of his movies too. So, Kissing Cousins.
Oh, right on, one of the big ones.
Yeah,
that is very cool. Now, what did your dad say about Elvis? What's Elvis like? What was he like?
Oh, he said he was the nicest guy, just so nice and down to earth, just real.
You know, it's so cool when you meet people or that have a connection to somebody like that. But you apparently have quite a bit of Hollywood history behind you. So you're originally from California, right?
Yes, I was born in the OC of California, Orange County.
Very nice. Okay, so your whole family was kind of involved in the movie business there as you were growing up.
Actually, I have a cousin, Richard Hartunian, that was a movie star. He did really good. And then Virginia Aldridge, she was in an episode of Star Trek, and she was a staff writer for Beauty and the Beast, and she actually wrote the most famous episode of Knight Rider. And then my dad worked at
Knight Rider. Now we're talking. That was my favorite show when I was a kid.
Oh, I have a Knight Rider. Richard, my husband, and I have we have a Knight Rider. It's been in a movie, and you're going to ride in it one day.
I am. You have Kit?
Yeah.
You really?
And he talks to you.
He talks to you?
He does.
You are the coolest person I've ever met. Now, if you could get an A-Team van, too, we'd really be talking.
I know somebody who has one.
Of course. But you were telling me that your grandfather was around in the golden era of Hollywood and actually drove big stars around?
Yes, he actually pioneered or helped pioneer MGM Studios, and he worked there for 50 years. So a long time, but he became head of transportation. So he drove around like Marilyn Monroe, picking her up and giving her a script for the day and driving her to the studio. And he lots of history.
It's a hard day at work having to deal with picking up Marilyn Monroe and giving her scripts, and it's a rough life.
Yeah, my mom. Oh my gosh, my mom. Okay, my dad brought my oldest sister into, Elvis wanted to see Sharissa when she was born. It was my dad's first child. And Elvis loves kids. Very nice guy. Anyways, my dad brings Sharissa in. He holds Sharissa, and then he gives her a stuffed giraffe from one of his promo movies. And my mom, growing up in the industry, gave it away at a garage sale.
Oh.
That hurt when I found that out.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's really cool. So, you know real estate, but you've got a very diverse background.
Yes.
That's very, very cool. Now, you just said we're talking about your mom selling a giraffe for 5 cents that was Elvis's.
Yes.
Now, when you see these real estate commercials and they do the whole, you didn't use a real estate agent. Ooh, how funny are those to
those are hilarious. Love them.
And they're true, aren't they?
They so are.
So what are the common mistakes that people do make when they don't use a real estate agent? What's the thing that comes back and bites you on the butt the most?
Oh, it's disclosure issues. So sometimes you don't know as a seller what you need to do. Legal protection is so important. And your real estate agent is there for fiduciary duties to protect you, to advise you. And they're insured. And it's really important to have that. And the most thing I find today that people that try to sell their own house, especially in the last years that we've had such a good market, they think, oh, anybody and their dog can sell real estate. Well, yeah, you can put a sign on and sell it. I wouldn't advise that because, number one, you're not protected. Number two, you're not getting the best price possible. Only a realtor can get that networking and that marketing and that advertising and actually knows the market. I find a lot of people think they know the market. They're talking to me on the phone and I'm listening to what they're saying, and I'm trying to advise them. And a lot of times, because the real estate industry, there's a lot out there and there's a lot you can find on the computer, on Google and everything. You think you know, but there's so much wrong information and misinformation and old information, and you might think you know it, but really you don't unless you're living and breathing it pretty much 24/7.
Now, one thing that's kind of frightened me a bit in the last couple of years has been this trend to just buy the property without a home inspection or anything like that. Just no conditions, I'm going to buy it. That frightens me a little bit. And am I right to be scared by that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and of course, when we were having that big multiple offers and you had to do it or you wouldn't get it, so you felt pressured to do that, I always advised, before putting in the offer, let's get an inspector in there right now. Let's do all our due diligence before they look at offers, because you got to have that. You never know what's hidden behind the walls, and that's what the inspector's there for. They have moisture readers. They have the tools of the trade, and they are trained professionals. And things have changed throughout the years, and they do have to know how to protect you. And again, they are insured as well, so you need to use it.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's a scary concept. You go, you know what, I want the place, so I'm going to pay, and I'm going to have no conditions on it, and all of a sudden you get in there, and, there's a little bit of an ant problem, or there's, water, of course, in the house is a nightmare.
Okay, I'm in real estate. In my last place I bought, I had an inspection. I always have an inspection, and there's always issues you can't find and you don't know. So thankful for that.
Yeah, I know when we bought our place, the home inspector found that the deck looked a lot better than it was. And so we had to put some money into the deck, and, we got that money off the price, which was great. But yeah, there's little things like that, hey, it looks great. It's all good. Well, actually, underneath, not so good.
And sometimes that bill can ride to the tune of $100,000, and you don't want that on you. So, you could always renegotiate potentially the offer after the fact upon inspection issues. And a lot of times what's fair can be 50-50 split, or if it's an issue that's right here today has to be fixed, now it can get fixed and not continue to worsen before completion day.
Mm-hmm. Now we're talking to Michelle Cummins from the Cummins Real Estate Group. Now, you do all kinds of real estate. You do commercial, you do residential. Now, investment properties is something that I have a lot of interest in. Don't have any, but it's always fascinating.
We're going to change that.
There we go. I like the sound of that. Now, for people that are looking for some kind of an investment property, or they're looking for, a little vacation cottage or something like that, is that something that you deal with a lot?
Oh, yes. Actually, unlocking your real estate potential is part of that. Every one of us has more we can do. So I always ask people when they ask me and clients that, what is your goal? What do you want? For instance, a lot of people just think, let's buy a condo or townhouse and rent it out, and that's an investment. But what if you don't have a vacation property yet? Or maybe there's something else that would suit you and your lifestyle and your future better than what you're thinking of investing in. So I do have a few questions and an interview type of way of finding out what investment is best for you and your lifestyle.
Okay, so if I come to you in 6 months and I go, you know what, I'm not getting any younger. I know retirement's going to happen one day. I really want to have a vacation place in Turks and Caicos. Could you help me with that?
Absolutely.
Really?
I can help you anywhere in the world. And the reason being is because I actually have a very large network. I can only sell in BC myself. I'm licensed for BC, but I have gained relationships with amazing realtors across the globe. And RE/MAX is a big part of that. I go to the conferences and we go to all sorts of meetings. And I'm part of the Cross Canada Referral Network with RE/MAX. So only the top producers in different areas. And we trust each other because we know each other's work ethic. And and we're in a referral basis. So I got a large network. So I really love marrying my clients to the right realtor in the area that they're looking to purchase in.
Now, I noticed on your website, you're in that like top 1%, not just locally, but right across the country. So you definitely know what you're doing.
I work hard, and I have such amazing clients. And yes, like I say, knowledge is power, and I love knowledge and learning and everything. Yeah. Yeah,
that's amazing, because I know there's a lot of real estate agents out there. Funny enough, a lot of people that used to work in radio go to real estate when they quit radio.
That's true.
You probably know a few former radio people that are now doing real estate. It seems to be this natural progression. I don't know. But there's a lot of real estate agents out there. So to be in that top 1%, I mean, that's kudos to you. That obviously comes from hard work and knowledge and I guess experience.
Thank you. Yes. 15 years, and rules are always changing. Laws are always changing. Life is always changing, and we're changing. So I love changing and growing constantly, and I like seeing my clients happy and growing in their real estate investments and purchases as well. So it's very satisfying. There's 3,600 realtors in the Fraser Valley right now that.
3,600?
Just in the Fraser Valley. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And if you go to your website, I noticed that you have properties. You have it's like a fishing resort up by Bella Coola or something.
Rivers. Oh yes, Rivers Inlet. It's called. It's just beautiful. It's Black Gold Lodge, and I got to visit it and actually experience it as a customer would, and it is the best vacation I've ever done. And I came back with the largest cooler of fish. You couldn't get me off the water, but the lodge, it's a beautiful place. It's really, it's like Fantasy Island, if you remember that show.
Oh, I do.
You go there and it's so smooth operating, and you are taken care of like kings and queens. They've got all sorts of big lodge, cabins. They've got a lounge. They're one of the only fishing lodges that have a liquor license. So yeah, they take care of you from everything. It's amazing.
Beautiful. So if people go to your website, they're going to find all these different listings, and of course, everything from fishing lodges and stuff like that to $50,000 lots and stuff like that. I guess everything in between.
You got it.
Yeah. So what's if people want to know more about what you do, obviously they can contact you and find you there. But of course, again, you're on the web, right?
Yes, my website is www.michellecummins.ca.
She's someone